is. So
Wednesday review for the final.
for the what?
For the final exam.
Final exam?
For the, well, not the final.
The midterm, the second part.
Midterm.
No, the test for these
I don't know
last four
either
chapters.
one. I don't know what a midterm or a final is. I have no idea what those
The
things
quiz
mean.
for these last test
The next test.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know what you mean. Anyway, so
No, he is.
right, and then now the following week after next week, that's spring break.
Yep.
Okay, what I will probably do, no, what I will do, because I'm so nice, even though some people are never mean to me. I will open that test up for 2 weeks. You can choose to take it during spring break, or you can take it after spring break. You have a choice. So for the people that are, you know, I'm sure some people want to just get it over. And that'll be on chapters what again?
8, 16, 19, 9, and 8.
Correct. Whichever order you want to put those in. 8, 9, 16.
And 19.
Now on the I follow the schedule, not what's in the content link. But it's almost the same. This is the only section that's different for the order. But anyway, those are the 4 chapters. This is the last one. So what's going to happen is Monday we'll have the quiz review on this. And then Wednesday I will give the review for the test. Not quiz, test. So you'll have 2 weeks to take that, like I said. Any other questions?
Oh, can you tell us the next 4 chapters?
Yes, I can. Hold on a second. I know 15 and 21 and 7 are the last ones, so it must be the ones before that. 12, 13, and 14? I think that's right, yeah.
13, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After these, yes. And I did find your email, and I sent you a reply.
Yes, thank you.
I usually do. It just, like I said, I got one from you and her for the same reason, and I think I just replied to her. But I pride myself on that, so. Okay, so different payroll, or excuse me, different commission structures. We're going to take a look at that in addition to payroll. All right, so you got a little review of it. If you look through your book and you answer the questions and you just didn't just copy the answers from somebody else on Monday, then you have somewhat of a review of what's going on. Has anybody worked in payroll before? Okay, so I don't think it's that difficult, really. I am not going to hold you liable, and I never do it every semester. I won't hold you liable for federal income tax and state income tax. How do you file your taxes these days? I use TurboTax.
H&R Block.
H&R Block?
Yep.
Don't they charge like a hefty fee?
Yep.
Yeah, they do.
They're worth it. They're worth it.
CPA.
I've been doing it for about 12, 15 years.
Well,
I told the
It's
CPA.
actually a rip-off, and when they sit there and say that they will do certain things for you, pay this extra fee, you know. And I can go to a different guy that does the exact same thing as HR Block.
well, I find if you use TurboTax, it walks you through every single solitary step.
I've used them once.
I use them every year.
Well, I'm a personal accountant, so
Do
just
it
get
over,
myself
it's
there.
repetitive in case you answer it wrong.
Oh yeah,
It'll catch
if you answer something wrong, it will catch it, and it won't let you complete it until you answer correctly. So it's kind of a safeguard. I forgot what they charge, but I don't think it was that much.
Only because it was like a $30 fee this year.
You have to pay for federal and state, right? Okay.
It's really
Well, for the military, you didn't have to free.
Huh?
For the military, you can go to like Jackson Hood and they'll do your tax return free.
Oh, well.
I was gonna say, so did it, Tax Out Colorado.
Yeah.
They've been doing through the
Yeah.
school.
Well, usually the base has like a credit to where they'll bring like Jackson Hood or somebody on
What's
their
so
base.
difficult about doing taxes? I don't get it.
Language,
They read like.
I guess the
stereo
language,
Huh?
They
yeah.
read like stereo instructions.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of tedious.
VCR.
It takes me about 8 hours to do mine. I haven't done them yet.
See what stereo instructions.
But if you use an easy form, and if you use the easy form, 1040, whatever, that's very simple. If you have your own, like mine, I file it as a contractor for years now, and I can write my rent or mortgage off, or I mean, you can imagine just about anything. And so I have to go through that long process. Now, when I used the 1040 easy form, it was very easy, just like it says easy.
Yeah.
Is that a coincidence that it's called 1040 easy? I don't know. Does anybody else file as a contractor or business owner?
My dad might file as a company.
That can be complicated. If you want to take advantage of all the deductions,
Yeah, I would recommend.
yeah, they have the standard deduction, and you know, it just depends on how many deductions you have. Sometimes the standard deduction is just more than the itemized.
Don't forget on you bought a home this year.
Huh?
You bought a home this year?
No, I backed out of it.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Sorry.
I was going to.
When you say taxes, do you claim your registration,
Which registration?
or your vehicle registration?
Yes.
Yes, any vehicle expenses. If you file as a contractor,
I'm not a contractor, but I file my state
and you can
taxes.
still do
I have
that.
my registration on my RV, and it's the second home I get to claim, and all three vehicles we have, I claim the registration and give a deduction.
Okay.
Uh,
I haven't done
I
easy.
heard that.
I haven't done that in so long.
You
But
know, I haven't, in
That's
this
why I
state,
have
I'm
a
surprised a lot of
CPA.
people don't know that, because I've been working tax out in Colorado, and your registration is deductible.
okay.
Any taxes that you pay out to the state, you know,
All right.
like your home tax.
Yes.
Same thing as your car. All your cars, like he says, an RV, boats, motorcycles, you can claim taxes that you had to pay to get them fixed.
Wow.
I don't even bother reporting the income or the interest on my checking or savings accounts. It's just so ridiculously low. It doesn't matter how much you have in there. It's just always so low, even though that might be illegal.
It is,
I know. Oh,
And
well.
then anything over
Yeah.
600, you
Yeah, I
have
know,
to
it's like-
report.
you know, it's such a small amount, you just claim ignorance if you ever got audited.
Hopefully
Isn't
that'll
any-
never happen. 'Cause-
Isn't anything over 600, you have to report that?
Huh?
Anything over 600, you have to
Oh,
report
interest on bank accounts?
on anything, really.
No, any dollars, anything over a dollar,
I'll
you're
pay
supposed
for,
to
I'll pay
report.
for.
Right. Anything like she probably knows that.
Oh.
Over a dollar. It's so
Okay.
minimal though. Okay, so just burning a few minutes here. All right, so this won't take too long. If you're taking a look at the table, what this does, this gives you 4 different types of pay periods. Like for instance, I get paid once a month, which is monthly. So you have to make sure you budget your money
Yep.
properly.
Uh-oh.
Don't feel bad, I get the same thing.
Okay. Most people have what?
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly or
Semi-monthly.
semi-monthly, which is twice, basically twice every 30 days. There's a slight difference. But what they show you here, obviously in the last column, is what? This is your earnings per period. And you see how, of course, it's the same, the person's receiving the same amount of income every month. But what it's doing is it's dividing the total $50,000 they receive every year by what? The number of weeks.
So can I have that, Rob?
Yeah,
Which one?
the 50,000.
Are you not there yet?
Oh, Rob.
Come on.
Man, I have to stand on a truck tire to get that back.
The more you earn, the more you spend.
And the more they tax you.
I remember being in the Army and earning $500 as a private starting out. That was a long time ago. But I had a bigger savings when I got out of there than I do now. You know, which is a shame to say.
As an E4 in the Air Force, see, I pay about $1,000 every 2 weeks. That's how far it's come today.
Oh, I'm sure it's come quite a
Yeah.
ways today.
So,
Still not enough for the military.
As an E4. Well, they pay for your food and your lodging.
Yeah.
You know, it's crappy sometimes. If you're married, it pays though.
When you see them on.
But anyway, you get the point here. Okay, so this will be relevant later in your problems. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes,
Sure.
please. Yes.
Please?
If you would be so
Okay, time for some calculations. Do you recognize this one? Because I asked you on your little quiz. Okay? And it's very simple. How many hours you work times your rate per hour. Now, is this person earning a salary?
No.
No, they're a hourly worker. Okay? Now, we're going to have to throw overtime into the picture here, too. So if you take a look down here at the bottom in the yellow box, the regular pay rate, and I think most people know this, you multiply it times 1.5 or 1.5,
Yep.
and that is the mandated by the government, right, overtime pay rate. And if they could pay you less for overtime, by law, I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
Why haven't they raised this?
Costs the company more.
Well, I know that, but I'm just wondering. It's been 1.5 forever.
Forever. So I'm gonna do that right here.
You want to know what the answer is?
Taxes?
Because.
that's the answer.
it wouldn't benefit big business.
It would not benefit, you know, believe it or not, and
Why they
a lot of you
send
guys
everything
know
over to
this.
China?
Big business and government, you know, they're like buddies, to make like an analogy. So they help each other out.
I think you're going to prom together myself.
Huh?
I think you're going to prom together myself.
Yeah, they're married, they're whatever you want to call it. So in other words, that's my answer. You know, that's why this is not going up. Otherwise, if they were for the people, you know, this probably would be a little bit higher by now. It's been like that since I was a kid. You know, so
Are you saying you're that old?
no, not that old.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. But as far as I can remember, let's put it that way. Now, down here at the bottom, what else do they give us? They give us the earnings for 40 hours. Now, why does it say 40 hours? Because anything over 40 hours is considered overtime. So those additional hours, you get your regular pay rate per hour times 1.5. You will have this on your problems, okay? Very easy to do. Now, what you have to be able to do is figure out, you know, how many hours of overtime did they have for that pay period or that week. And it's very simple. There's an example coming up here. You just subtract 40 from what? The total hours worked that week. So this guy, Valdez, he worked 13 hours on Monday, for instance, 8.5 on Tuesday, etc., etc. His total hours for the week were 61.5. So just off the top of your head, can't you figure that out? 61.5 minus 40. So 21.5 hours of overtime. 21.5 times what? What is this regular pay rate?
$9 per hour.
Well, he makes $9 per hour, and he had 21.5 hours overtime, right? So you have to multiply $9 times 1.5, and what do you get, $13.50?
Yeah.
Yes? And then you multiply that times what?
21.
The 21.5 overtime hours. Now that gives you the overtime pay, okay? There is the
You have to
overtime
have the
pay.
regular pay with the overtime pay.
Correct. Here is the regular pay. Here is the regular pay for 40 hours times $9. Here is the overtime pay. So regular pay plus overtime pay. And then here are the calculations. that go with these. So this is the total amount that he's earned, he or she, for that pay period.
That's 40. And that's how much he earned for 61 and.
Does everybody see how this works?
Yep.
Now, if you've worked, who has experienced overtime?
I
pay?
just got overtime.
Okay, you get it now, or yeah. All right. I don't think I ever had a job where I had overtime pay. It was always salary, or they just didn't give overtime hours. Huh?
You get a longer lunch break.
A longer lunch break? I doubt that these days. You're lucky if you get any lunch break. Question.
$30 an hour is time and a half break. Wouldn't that make it $4.50 instead of $3.50?
Yeah, $13.50. Because you get $9.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. No, I asked you if you get, you know,
I just didn't.
it didn't register. So, again, so any questions about how to do this? Wow. All right, very simple. Okay. Now it's time to talk about commission rates, commission systems.
Oh,
So
this
that's
was
when you
always
get
fun.
paid for whatever you
Not
sell.
just commissions, but just pay systems. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So what?
And some of these are commission based. You'll see they're coming up. In other words, this one is the simplest one. Take a look at the example. We have Ryan. I'm assuming that's a guy. That movie Saving Private Ryan, I never saw that, but was that a female?
Yeah.
Nope.
Male.
Ryan was a female or a male?
No,
male.
Okay, never mind.
You never saw Super?
I never saw it, no.
You were in the army?
It was about 1940s Germany.
Oh, you
Oh,
can-
really? Was it a good movie?
It's a
Yeah.
very,
Very good movie.
I'll have to watch it.
very
Probably
good.
one of
Goldie Hawn?
Probably one of his
Golden
Tom
Mole.
Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Oh,
Saving
Goldie Hawn.
Arguably one of the greatest military movies of all time.
Really?
Yeah, they say the first 15 minutes is the closest anyone's ever shown to what
Really?
Normandy were
I'll have to
like.
see this. I thought Full Metal Jacket was the best.
No, they said from actual people who were there, they said that's the closest anyone's ever gotten. They said it's
To
trying to
remake
straight
it.
on.
Yeah.
Really? Is it going to make you cry?
No,
Okay.
unless you're that soft.
Anyway, so I'm trying to make this somewhat interesting. I don't know. So we have Ryan, regardless of the gender. The reason I'm mentioning gender here is because Ryan is producing dolls.
Hey, it's equality.
Guys have dolls too.
Huh?
Guys have dolls too.
Give me an example.
G.I. Joe. We call
I have the original.
I had a G.I. Joe, but that wasn't a doll.
Yes, it is.
There's another name for that.
I have the original Star Trek plastic dolls.
I never called it an action figure, thank you.
Yeah, guys call them action figures, girls call them dolls. It's the same product with a different head on it.
And sale is a sale is a sale no matter what the product is.
I would never say I had a doll. I would get the Barbie, not the Ken. Let's see. He is paid 96 cents for every doll he produces, or she, or whatever. So all you do is take 900, which is the number of units produced,
Yeah.
times the pay per unit. That's why it's called straight piece pay rate, because straight means you get you get the same pay for every unit produced. For every unit produced. This is not going to be the case. The next example is coming up. So enjoy this one. It's very easy. Yeah, we could say, it says calculate, oh, his, look at that, it is a guy. So it says calculate his gross pay. Well, he's producing dolls. I figured,
Wow.
if I were writing this, you could have made that anything. Why dolls?
No, and women can be welders, guys can build dolls.
Amen.
Can women be welders?
Hey, today guys can be nurses. I don't question.
It's a brave new world.
Yeah, it is.
They could even run for president too.
Oh, I know that. I vote for him. Okay, any questions on this one? Any questions
I
on
think we
this?
should just move on. Just move on.
I'm not gonna complain about the noise because half of it's my fault. So. Anyway, that is his gross pay.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain.
Half of what we're talking about could be in the class in itself.
All right, here's something a little bit more challenging. What are we producing here? Still dolls, but now we have Abby. Can that be spelled with an E too? That's usually a girl. Okay, I know guys that are named Leslie. So anyway,
A guy named Ashley.
I know isn't that horrible?
Yes.
All right, moving right along. You can tell I'm not into this today. All right, differential pay schedule. Differential, it means different. Look at the word different.
And I don't get it.
Now look at this table here. Pay close attention because other people are trying to hear. This is kind of tricky unless you look at it very closely. The first 50 units produced, the person gets paid 50 cents per unit. Now if you look at the second category, be careful.
The next.
150 minus 51 is 100. It is not the next 50.
So
It's the next 100. You get 62 cents per unit.
it looks like if you're the next 51 to the next.
You would think it'd be 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 100.
Okay. So.
The next group drops back to 50.
Huh? And it does drop back to 50. On the next one, 200 minus 151, just say it's 50. So the next 50 units produced, they're going to get 75 cents. Now what is happening here as they produce more units?
They get paid more.
They get paid more per unit. So do you see why they use this differential pay schedule? To motivate you to produce more.
It's like working different hours somewhere, you get differential pay.
Now look at the last one. Anything produced over 200, now that includes everything after 200. You get paid $125 per unit produced. So that really gives you an incentive to get as high as you can over 200 units per day. I think this is per day, right? Okay. So back to the top here. It says gross pay is the number of units produced times the various rates per unit. Now if you look quickly down here at the calculations, I'm skipping around, but look at the calculations for a second. Do you notice that you have 1, 2, 3, 4 separate calculations? Do you see why? Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4 categories.
Is that right? Is another way to say it is a sliding pay scale?
Sure, we can call it that.
Yeah.
So we have Logan Company, who pays Abby on the basis of this schedule. Now it says last week Abby produced a total of 300 dolls. How many did, what's his name produce?
900.
900, okay. So what is Abby's gross pay? Now take a look. What we have to do, we know she produced more than 50. So we go through this table, just like you will on your quiz, and it's very easy. You take the first 50, multiply it times 50 cents. The second category, we know she produced more than 150, so we're going to go ahead and, what is this? This is 100, right?
Yeah.
This is 100 units, not 50. So 100 times 0.6, or 100 times 62 cents.
99 units.
And the last one, or second to last, that's 50 units. So 50 times 75. Now how do we get the 100 in the last part here, the last
Because
calculation?
she did 300. 100 left.
Good. So at this point, we've gotten up to 200. She produced 300. So 300 minus 200 is 100. Do you see how we got that?
Is it weird that the heater keeps on?
Yes. Take my word for it.
Oh, wait, wait, should that be 99?
Huh?
I was just reiterating what she said.
In other words, you would include that. You would include the 51st unit, if that makes sense. And here you would include the 151st unit. So it would come out to 50, 100, and 100.
So why wouldn't it just be like 300 times 125?
Times 125?
Yeah, I mean, it was over 200.
That's not the way it works.
You have to build up to it.
That's right. You have to build up.
Per unit.
Don't you see that? Because if she only produced 50, all she would get is 50 times 50 cents.
She produced it.
I know, but the more she produced, the higher the rate. So we can't use the same rate. You don't see that? We can't use the same pay rate because it's a different pay rate as you produce more. You can't say 300 times 125. That only applies to what? Everything over 200.
Yeah, she produced 300 and it says over 200. So, I mean,
It's only what's over 200. Doesn't that make sense?
no, I see what you're saying.
You don't want to have 49 units or 99 units. You want to have 4.
So you see how we got the 249.50. Do you have any questions about this pay scale or pay schedule? None? Okay.
No.
I don't like
You have a
it.
question?
No.
No, you're good.
And the
Okay.
next one's
Now it's time to talk about commissions.
That's easy.
I'm assuming everybody in here knows the basic definition of commission. When you work on straight commission, that means you get no base salary and you get a percentage of whatever you sell, right? That's not good.
No.
Like a car salesman usually.
Well,
That's-
it's there.
Huh?
You're a really good salesman, that's okay.
If you are a really good salesman, it'll be awesome. But in hard economic times, even the best salespeople have trouble sometimes. Like right now. You can tell if someone works on 100% commission because you walk into the clothing store, for instance, and they're on you. If they work on no commission, they're just going to look at you and not say anything. Okay. So anyway, the defined commission right here. Now we have to come up with we have a new definition here, and that is draw. A draw. What is that?
When you get money ahead of.
How many employers do that?
Sears does.
I don't think mine does. Sears does?
Yeah, I just thought as a salesperson for Sears, I work for commission only, but they would give you a flat rate, a draw of $200 a week, but you had to give it back to them from your commission, or you owed it to them if you quit.
That's not like waitressing, is it? They get a flat rate and then they get their tips. That's totally.
Let me tell you what they're talking about here, and that's a close definition. This person is taking advance like a loan. Well, I guess it's like you said, on their commission. So what happens is when they go to get paid, the employer will deduct that draw.
Yep.
They will deduct the draw if you have any draw for that pay period. Logan Company pays Jackie a straight commission of 15% on her net sales. You remember what net sales is, right? In May, Jackie had net sales of $56,000. Look, that's the first number here. Now, Logan gave Jackie a $600 draw in May. We know she earns 15% of her net sales. So 15% or 0.15 times the net sales. That gives her her pay, but we have to deduct what next? The draw. She borrowed $600. Okay? So 600 subtracted from the 84. And that's what she's left over with. What happens if you take out a draw and then you don't? I guess you owe them. You know, if you don't make the sale and it's all commissions.
With car sales, it's usually you're let go after the third time.
But you still owe them, huh? But I just,
No, they don't go back after it.
no? So glad I never had to do that. Do you have any questions on this one? No? Okay, another commission. Another commission example. Now this one's called a variable scale. Okay? Or variable commission scale. Now take a look at the table. Look at what's happening. This person gets paid a commission depending upon the amount, or not quantity, but value of merchandise that they sell. All right? And in this case, what are we selling here? Does it say?
No,
It doesn't tell us. All right, great. Doesn't matter. But if this person sells up to $35,000 in merchandise, in other words, everything that they sold that day amounts to, or that week or whatever, amounts to $35,000. Does that make sense? The price, if you add the price of the items that the price that people pay, right? Follow that? Now the next category, it says anything between what? 35 and 40,000? What is that? 10,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next 10,000 in merchandise above 30,000, what happens to the percent that they get paid on commission?
You just take 160,000 minus 45,000, and then what you have left. You times
Wait,
that.
back up. Answer that question.
I'm okay.
Just a simple answer. $10,000 after 35 though. So they give you incentive to do what? To sell more, because they give you a higher commission rate as you sell more. Now, anything you sell over $45,000 in merchandise, they raise it another 2% to 8%. Okay? Now, does that start over for the next pay period? You start back to zero, don't you? Of course. So last month we have Jane, and her sales, her net sales, were $160,000. Now keep that in mind, because we have to use this table. It says, what is Jane's gross pay based on this schedule, or this table? Now notice the first calculation. We know she sold more than 35,000, so we simply take 35,000 times 0.04. We know she sold more than 45,000, but notice, look at this second calculation, it's everything between 35 and 45. So that's 45 minus 35 is 10. Times 6%. And then the final one, this is the one you have to be careful with. How do we get 115,000?
You take 160,000 minus the 45.
What's left over? Right. So 160,000 minus what? 45,000. 160,000 minus 45,000.
Having good months.
Huh?
Still having good sale months.
Yeah, that's probably during, we don't know what the product is, so
Christmas.
let's just say Christmas.
That's a lot of Christmas.
I feel so sorry for salespeople. I'm so thankful I never had to perform a sales-related job. No, I did
It
for 3
pays really
months.
well
They
though
go
if you're
back.
good at it.
Well, I was good at it, but I hated it, so I quit. Anyway, so that 115,000 times the highest commission rate, which is 8%. Now you add all these together, and you're left with $11,200. That is the gross pay.
For 1 month.
That's gross pay. Now, we've been talking about gross pay a lot.
Well, it
Why
says
is it
last
called?
month.
Huh?
Because it said last month, she made that in 1 month.
Yes, that was for 1 month. Good point. It wasn't a week, it was a month. But $11,200 a month,
That's pretty good for what?
if you made that every month times 12,
Good,
you'd be
man.
doing pretty good.
122,400.
Good. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was,
but look how much you have to sell to get that.
yeah. We don't know what she's selling, so.
That's so good.
Okay, we've been talking about gross pay a lot. Why is it called gross pay?
Taxes haven't been
Been taken out.
And we're getting ready to look at that next. Are you ready?
Hey,
Sure.
Okay. Oh, we have one, I think it's one more. Okay, salary plus commission. This is not such a bad deal because you get a base salary even if you don't earn any commission. But who could tell me what happens in a job? Let's say you have this kind of arrangement, this kind of pay setup, and let's say after 3, 4, 6 months, whatever, you have not cleared, you have not earned any commission, put it that way.
I can
They're
tell you
probably going to let
exactly.
you go.
Yeah.
Eventually.
That's exactly what you do.
Yeah. Even though you have a base salary, if you don't ever reach the part, if you don't ever sell enough to where you're earning a commission on sales, eventually they're going to let you go. So a base salary is great, but they expect you to exceed that. All right, we have Logan Company who pays Joe $3,000 a month. That is his salary. Okay?
That's pretty good.
Now, yeah, and he gets a 4% commission, but only on sales over $20,000. So he has to hit that $20,000 mark before he gets any commission.
Sounds like a car.
And Mike, well, they don't usually get a base salary from
No.
that.
No,
He's selling pencils.
Pencils.
Pencils? Okay, we'll go with that. So last month, they're luxury pencils. Last month, Joe's net sales were $50,000. Okay, it says his net sales were $50,000, and they want us to calculate his gross pay. How did we get this? We know his base salary is $3,000.
2,000 minus 5,000, because he has to hit 20, well, yeah, 50,000 minus 20,000.
Yes, 50,000 minus 20,000 is 30.
That's his base, yeah.
Do you see how we got that?
My brain's not really.
Okay? Because his net sales were 50, anything he goes over 20, the difference is 30. He went over by 30,000, so he gets a 4% commission. Just on that part, not on the whole 50,000, right? So when we add 4% of 30,000 plus 3,000, we get 4,200 for that pay period. So we've covered what, 4 or 5 of these? Is there any one that, do you have any other, something different than what's up here? That's pretty much it. It would be interesting if they paid educators according to pass rates, because everyone would pass. I would make sure you pass. I don't care if you never came, you never took a test. I'd go there and take it for you.
Remember, you're being recorded.
What does it matter? Okay. All right, now here's the hard part.
Yeah.
We're done with the easy part, okay? So pay very close attention. I don't think it's hard, but I say that as a signal
It's
for
just a
people
little
to
work, more work.
focus. All right.
More work.
Now I want you to know something first here. The letters at the bottom, you can somewhat ignore these because on a typical payroll register, you won't have these letters, this A through M. This is showing you the steps. A is the first step, like B is the second step, C is the third. Think about it that way, okay? So we have one employee here. A typical payroll register will have many employees, right? And before I get started, take a look at this. You have to know this in your sleep. Now, don't they change it on the quiz? I think they do. I hate to say this, but this goes up, with time. I'll explain what this is in a minute, but it goes up with time. And on your quiz problems, like you'll see Monday, I believe the base is higher than 97,500. I think it's 102. I don't know exactly what, 108, something like that. But you have to know these. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the example. We have Alice. Now, can you read this?
Yes.
Okay. What does this mean? This is her marital status. Married with 2 Dependents. All right. Good. Part B, cumulative earnings. Cumulative earnings, which means this is how much Alice has earned to date. This is not from one paycheck. We wish. That's from all the paychecks up until the current one. Okay?
Still, she's doing pretty good.
Yeah, not doing too bad. Now, Alice normally earns what? $22.50 per week as a salary. Do you see that? Now, the salary is her regular earnings. Why do we say regular? Because that differentiates it from what? Overtime. Now, does Alice have any overtime pay? No. Now, this right here is one pay period. This part right here is just one pay period. So Alice grows $22.50 for that pay period. See? No overtime. And now we take her current earnings from this period and add it to what? The
Ones from the last period.
or the, well, the cumulative earnings. So $96,750 plus $22.50 gives you $99,000. So every pay period, what are we going to add to our cumulative earnings?
What you made.
Well, in this case, $22.50.
Yeah.
I don't think she earns overtime, does she?
No.
Okay. Now, notice how these lines here, because these dark lines mean something, all right? Right here, they're showing you how much earnings or how much was earned in the current pay period. Here's the cumulative earnings up to date. Now, look at the next part. Look at this dark line here. These are called taxable earnings. Taxable earnings. Look at just these two cells or these two squares, just these two. Take a close look. SS stands for what?
Social Security.
Social Security. So the law says, in this example, that you get charged 6.2%, right, of your earnings until you reach what? Until you reach, let me say it again, until you reach cumulative earnings of $97,500. Once you reach that cumulative earnings for that year, do you get charged anything else?
Probably think not.
No, you do not. Right. Okay. Now, again, come back up here to this term. It says taxable earnings. Taxable. Does this represent the amount of the tax? No. This is where people get confused sometimes. This is how much is taxable. Okay? So, how do we get this $750?
2250 times 0.062062. Yeah.
Well, take a close look here. Take a close look. And there might be a mistake in the slide. But once you exceed $97,500,
And she did.
and she did. Do you notice that? She exceeded it right here. But in the previous pay period, how far had she gotten? $96,750. So $96,750 minus, or excuse me, $96,750 from $97,500 will give you what? $750. That's how we got that number. Does everybody see that?
Yep.
Now, not all your problems are going to be this tricky. Sometimes they'll be a lot more straightforward. Because right here, what's happening? In between her last pay period and the current one, in between the last one and the current one, she exceeded that base. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Right. Lucky her. Most of us won't ever exceed it. Or even get close. Will. So, again, any questions about the 750? If there are no questions, why are people looking at YouTube videos and getting tutors? Never mind, don't answer that.
I don't
Okay.
understand why they didn't put this in. I wouldn't put it that way on the spreadsheet like that.
Why not?
Because that $750 is total for the whole year, right?
That is what is taxable for that
For
pay
that-
period.
That pay period only.
Because
Just
she
that pay
exceeded
period.
the amount.
So right here,
That was her one
96,750, the base is 97,500. She exceeded it, but we still have to charge her up to this amount. We have to charge her 6.2%. So 96,750 to get to 97,500, how much is that? 750. Now that's what's taxable. That's what's taxable. Now here's the actual amount of tax. You see Social
Right,
Security?
okay. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at right there. I just wouldn't put it in those columns like that. I don't know.
That's just
Okay.
the way
That's
Excel
what she
is.
got, yeah.
Okay, so, excuse me,
That's
how do we
really-
get to 4650?
The
That's what she-
750 times the 6.20?
Yeah, 750 times 6.2, or 0.062.
I understand. I just
Okay.
wouldn't put it like that.
I agree, but that's the way it is.
And everybody's pay chart, or pay stubs are different.
Everything is different,
Yeah, that's just the way they're.
This is just.
as long as you can pass what's in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so now look at this. This Medicare is going to be easy for you in every problem. And why is that? There is no base. What does that mean? No matter how much you earn that year, every pay period they're going to charge you 1.45% of what you earn in that pay period.
So it's 2,250 times 1.45.
Yes. So 2,250 is what you earn every pay period, right? You see how that's the taxable earnings under Medicare? And then over here, the actual Medicare tax, how do we do that? 2,250 times
1.45.
times 1.45 or 0.0145.
The heck is
They
this?
just,
We don't have to
they just make that
type it in.
confusing the way they got it there. To me, it's just, I would have done, weekly, yearly, and different.
Yeah, I might have done it a different way too. Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, those are your Federal Insurance Contribution Act taxes, Social Security and Medicare. Now, like I told you, I will spare you any problems with federal income tax and state income tax, okay? Because how many people use that booklet anymore? Remember the old booklet?
They don't.
Do they even print them?
The projector doesn't like you today.
Do they print them?
I don't know. I've never seen one.
Well, I used to use them. It was a long time ago.
I've never seen
But this will more or less be a given in the problems that you have. So FIT stands for what? Federal income tax?
And
SIT stands for state income tax. You don't have to worry about those, all right? Let's move along. Now, the hardest part is done. If you understand all this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, will there be health insurance?
there
and
will
more
be
problems?
on some.
Okay, but
That's
it will
the-
be
that's the-
added in there, and then you just,
Or they'll tell you in the paragraph.
It'll be given.
okay, and then you just plug it in.
Yeah, it will be obvious. So health insurance for this employee, we're going to deduct $100 per pay period. So that's a deduction. We have to take that out. Now tell me, how do we get this person's net pay?
Because you took all of that from the 2,250. Your
The
Social Security,
2,250 minus what?
Your
This,
Social Security, your
this,
Medicare,
this,
your FIT,
this, and
and
this.
health
Yes,
insurance.
Does everybody see that?
Yep.
So
There's
again,
little minus signs in between each one.
little minus signs in between each one, yes.
Gotcha.
So again, or you could just add them all together and subtract that amount
Yeah.
from the pay.
Gotcha.
So again, 2,250 minus what? 4650.
32.
Social Security, Medicare, federal, state, and health insurance, and there's your net pay. So if you got all that, then you'll be okay. You should score 100%. All right. But I can tell you this, the base will not be 97,500. It's higher. Because the government wants more from us. So every year or periodically, I don't know how often, they will raise this base. As if most of us earn that much. I mean, it's ridiculous, you know, so why raise it?
Because I can.
Because they can, because.
Yeah.
Because people who earn that amount of money appreciate it.
Okay, the last slide.
Employer's responsibilities.
All right. Now you have to know how to do these. What do these two things stand for? And this was on one of the questions I gave you on the quiz, number 1 or number 2, something. Last time we were here. So it tells you right here, these are unemployment taxes, federal and state. Now this gets a little bit confusing. There's just one little area of possible confusion, all right? So take a look. It says that, question? Okay. It says up here that we charge federal unemployment taxes at the rate of 6.2%, but only on the first 7,000 paid to employees. Only on the first 7,000. You will have a couple of problems, 2 or 3, where you have to understand that really well, which I'll go over on Monday. So you'll see more about that later. Now the state unemployment tax rate is 5.4%, again, on the first 7,000 that the employer pays to employees for the whole year. Not for that pay period, for the whole year, for both of them. Okay? Now here's where this little catch comes in. It says, with the little, I mean, every time you see an asterisk, you know something's wrong there, just like in a contract. Okay? It says, can be credited against the 6.2% federal rate. Now, where's the asterisk at? It's right here. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Take a close look. So what's going to happen is we're going to give, in our problems, we will give every company in every problem a credit. If they're paying state unemployment tax, you can see what happened over here. Look in this box. They subtracted the 5.4% from the 6.2 federal rate, and they only get charged what?
8.8%.
0.8%. 0.8% for what? Federal. Tell me if this doesn't make sense. But don't make it complicated for me. Okay. When we get to the problems, it will, if it doesn't make total sense right now. Now take a look. We have a company that has total wages of $20,000. Now it says 4,000 of those total wages are exempt from state unemployment tax. Honestly, I don't think you have that in your quiz problems, but it's on this one, okay? So it says, what are the company's state and federal unemployment taxes if the state rate is 5.8%? Did they make a mistake there? No, they didn't. Due to a poor unemployment record. Now, why are they being charged a higher state unemployment rate? Because of their poor employment record, excuse me.
In other words,
They didn't
get rid of a whole lot of.
There's a mistake somewhere in here. I just haven't
Yeah,
got
it's
to it yet.
5.8 up there, but it's
It's right here.
5.4 over there.
Can somebody punch that in and tell me what you get? 16,000 times 0.058. And tell me what you get.
$928.
You get 928? Okay, so if you're taking notes strictly off of this, that's supposed to be what?
5.4.
5.8.
0.058.
Oh, I thought we were switching the 5.8 to the
I almost said
5.4.
yes. No, it's the other way.
Okay.
So, but see up there, they have it at 5.4.
I know, it's a confusing slide.
Mhm.
I know. But as long as you understand the concept, we'll be okay.
Got it.
and you'll see on the problems. Okay, so whatever. Let's go back to this. The poor unemployment record. I keep saying unemployment. The poor employment record. What does that mean?
He's saying keeping their employees.
They're not keeping their employees, right? So the state is punishing them by giving them a higher tax rate. That's right. That's how it should be. I'm surprised at that, but. Okay, now take a look at the first calculation at the bottom, the very first one. We subtracted 4,000 from 20 because right here in the first sentence,
4,000 of it's exempt.
4,000 of the total wages for that period are exempt. Are exempt. And again, on your quiz problems, I don't remember seeing anything like that. But right here, we're going to deal with it, okay? So 20,000 minus 4, 16,000 is taxable. 16,000 is taxable. Now let's figure out how much they owe for state unemployment tax and federal unemployment tax. For state, we take 16,000 times what again?
0.58.
0.058. 0.058. And you're going to get $928 owed in state unemployment taxes. That's what the company has to pay, okay? Now for federal, we take the same 16,000, taxable, right, the taxable, 16,000, and now we multiply, where do we get 0.008 from?
Because you took the FUTA times the
Up
minus
here.
the FUTA and got that.
Up here. Now if you notice, this would probably be what? Should it be 85.8?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But you're like, no, this one needs to be 5. See, maybe
I haven't
that's
gotten to
why
that point yet.
that's probably why they got this 0.054.
Okay, someone go ahead and multiply this. What do you get? 16,000 times 0.008
Equals 128.
128.
equals 128.
Yep.
Okay.
It says that for you.
Trust me on this one. It will be very straightforward when we go over the quiz. I hate this slide.
So
all
we
right?
don't go to the quiz today?
No, I haven't gone over the quiz yet. I mean, I could, but
No, we're almost out of time.
It's like 501.
so almost. So they could have made it very simple on us if they would have fixed this right here.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the only thing. And you know what? This is not the last PowerPoint slide you're going to see a mistake in. They fixed the kinks in the quizzes from my first semester 2 years ago, but they cannot fix the kinks in the PowerPoints. Do you understand why? Because the quizzes are on the McGraw-Hill site. These are on Pikes Peak site. They have to create a new version of the PowerPoint and they get rid of the kinks in those, or the mistakes. Okay?
So they don't want to do more work.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's up to the publisher, I believe, to take care of it. So, if you got the concept of what's happening here, do you understand this whole thing about the credit against the federal tax rate? That's what I'm trying to make sure of.
Yeah.
It's not so much the numbers, it's just the fact that they give you a credit. Because in your quiz problems, they're going to do the same thing.
So
But you
you
won't have any
always-
mistakes.
You should always take the FUTA minus the SUTA.
Yes. Did everybody hear that? You will take the federal minus the state, and that is always going to give you, I'm pretty sure, always, 0.008 for federal unemployment tax in your quiz problems. It'll give you 0.008. You're not going to have one like this. Why they gave us this on the PowerPoint, I don't know. You're not going to have this poor unemployment record thing. Does that make it easier?
I don't know, maybe they're just trying to make us aware of it.
I don't know. I wouldn't have put it in there. But okay. Any questions about anything?
I don't like this job.
Well, you can't say that just because of this. Come on.
No, it's not. I just don't like.
Try taking a course in payroll accounting and see how much you like that. This is just a taste of it.
Yeah.
So I'll see you next time.